Okay, next up, War Trilogy by Rossellini. I really haven't dug into this at all, but I know this is an essential movie. It's the starting of the neorealist. It's the founding of the neorealist film movement. This is a box set This is a worthwhile watch. I would buy. It's got video introduction by Rossellini to all three films: Rome, Open City, Paisan, and Germany Year Zero. It's got audio commentary on Rome Open City, documentary on the making of the historic film, Rome Open City, visual essay, really videotape discussion, scene videotape discussion, visual essay about the War Trilogy, documentary about Rossellini, and tributes by Francois Truffaut, Martin Scorsese. Some of this was actually shot at the end of World War II, before the Nazis actually retreated to Germany, and some of it was filmed in Germany after the war ended. So, really important movie. Set of movies, rather. This is one of those essential movies to own, Bicycle Thieves. Simple story. Father needs to support his son and wife, so he takes a job hanging posters, and he gets a bicycle. He needs a bicycle to do the job, and his bicycle gets stolen. So that's the plot. But it's more than that. A lot of directors love this movie. It's one of Kubrick's favorite films of all time. I think it's one of Scorsese's. A lot of people love this movie. Really heartbreaking. Love it. I mean, and it's got some special features about the neorealist movement, documentary on the screenwriter. You can't go wrong with this. And then he followed it up with Umberto D, another really depressing movie about an elderly man who can't afford his rent because his landlady wants to remodel the apartment building he's living in. He has a little dog that he lives with. Heartbreaking movie. Fellini, La Strada, The Road, with Giulietta Massini, who was Fellini's wife, and a man she tags along with, played by Anthony Quinn. Very sad but moving movie. And here's my favorite Fellini of all time, one of my favorite movies, La Dolce Vita, The Sweet Life or The Good Life. It's got an interview with Lina Wertmuller, assistant director on the movie. Interview with scholar David Forgax about the period in Italian history. Interview with Italian journalist Antonio Sarno. Interview with director Federico Fellini from '65. Audio interview with Marcello Mastroianni. Felliniana, presentation of La Dolce Vita with ephemera from the collection of Don Young. Visual essay by filmmaker Kanagana. There's a really good special feature on here about that, on this that talks about how the beginning and the end meet each other in the middle. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I've watched it several times. You know, he stays up till dawn. At one point, he didn't have a good relationship with his father. Same with me. But I mean, thank God we mended fences before my father passed away. But it just, I'm not really a journalist. I've never really known celebrities, but I don't know. It's sort of personal to me. But this one's good too. And I like La Dolce Vita. It doesn't have a happy ending. This one does, but maybe I shouldn't have said that. But about a director who can't decide what kind of film he wants to make. It's this 8.5 film. That's why it's called 8.5. Juliet of the Spirits. Fellini again. Julieta Messina plays Juliet of the Spirits. She sees all these visions. Not the greatest. Fellini's got, if you like all the visual flourishes that Fellini does, you might like it, but it's not quite up to par with La Dolce Vita 8.5 or La Strada, but not, yeah, so you have to consider that. Satyricon is probably his greatest failure. It's got a great earthquake scene in it, underground. I wouldn't recommend this film, probably, but maybe behind the scenes stuff might be worth your while. Our long documentary about the making of it. Interview with Fellini from the time. Interview with the cinematographer. So from that aspect, documentary about what it's based on, Petronius's Satyricon, from the Latin or Roman American, Roman times, So from that standpoint, it might be an interesting film to buy, but it's not his best film. This is a good one he made. Amarcord, beautiful artwork on here. It's got a nice booklet. I don't know. I think it has some pictures in there. Maybe it doesn't. I thought it did. But coming of age movie, a town in fascist Italy, kids growing up. I don't know if it has a ton of special features. There's a documentary about the director, the hometown, interview with one of the stars, drawings of characters from the film, interview with Fellini. A lot of people like Amarcord. They consider it one of his best movies. So, and then to round off Fellini, got Roma. Not one of his best films, but as a Catholic fashion show, if you like to see that, and that's really the crowning part of it. I maybe the special features redeem it, but there's a director, a filmmaker, Paolo Sorrentino. I think he did The Great Beauty, which I didn't like, by the way, which is on Criterion. Audio commentary, kind of forgettable. Let me see. Okay. And to round off the Italian films, we got, well, a few more directors. Michelangelo Antonioni, this brought him to prominence. L'Avventura, also known as The Journey or The Adventure. That's a translation, I guess. A fiancé and her friend and her go to an island. She disappears, and after a while, the fiancé and her friend have a relationship. It's a very artsy kind of a movie. If you like artsy type movies, you're going to like it, I think. It's like landmark in art cinema. But my personal favorite, it's part of a trilogy. Technically, they have a tetralogy with Red Desert, which was his first color film, and it was the fourth in the series. But I don't like Red Desert. But the second one in the series is one of my favorite films of all time, La Notte, The Night. About a married couple, John Moreau and Marcello Mastroianni, who just don't get along with each other. Monica Vitti, by the way, is in the first in the Love and Tour. She makes an appearance here too as one of the other characters. She's kind of Antonioni's muse. And then there's really artsy film, Lycles, The Eclipse. But if you like art films, you might like it. The ending part of the film, you'll see if you don't watch art films or like thinking people's films, you're probably going to say, "What the hell is this?" Basically, I will say there's a scene in this, maybe a little after the beginning, towards the middle, where Monica Vitti puts makeup on to look African looking. So maybe it's a little bit racist, maybe, if I can recall correctly. Okay. Salo, Pasolini. Important movie, but a hard watch. I only watched this once. I don't know if I could ever watch it again. It's about these fascist politicians and military before the end of World War II in the countryside of Italy, taking these young people to a mansion, subjecting them to torture. No breathing room. There's no points where you can relax, and they make them do awful things, like eat nails, cut their tongues and eyes out, and eat waste. Pasolini was murdered about this movie. His murder was never brought to trial or justice. It's a hard watch, but it's basically about how governments can abuse their powers, the way I view it. A lot of great filmmakers love this, like Catherine Bier, and what's his name? Bertolucci. Bertolucci, John Mayberry. But not an easy watch at any sense of the word. Important. And then this Bertolucci film, this is a film I highly recommend. It's kind of a box set. It's not a box set in the sense of the Bergman box set or the Zatoichi box set. It's a 4-disc edition. I don't think it's on Blu-ray, the 4-disc edition. I think the Blu-ray only has the theatrical, and it might not have the other cut, which is the television cut, Last Emperor. It's got a commentary on the theatrical cut. And it's got disc 3 has how they made the film, 51-minute documentary. How about they made the film, 45-minute documentary. 66 documentary on the disc 4, 30-minute interview with Bertolucci, interview with the composer, David Byrne, one of the composers, interview with cultural historian Ian Ruma, examining the period of the film. So you get to know a lot about the time period, about how they made the movie. There's a nice booklet. This is going to go on forever. I'm trying to plow through this. Beautiful movie. I've watched it several times. It never gets tiring. It's depressing. True story. It's about the last emperor of China, Aisanjuro Puyi, and how he's basically a puppet. Basically, he represents. He just represents China, but he doesn't really rule it. And it's made by an Italian director. That's why it's with the Italian films. It's in English. People speak in English in it. And then you got Three of Wooden Clogs by Armando Olmi. Depending on who you are, you might find this film boring. It's about a farming community. They live very poorly. They plant crops. They don't have much money. And it's long. It's like 3 hours long or something. 187 minutes. So I think won the Palme d'Or can. You might find this boring. So just warning you. Now we get to Swedish movies. Get to Ingmar Bergman. So, Summer with Monica, about a two young people that have a relationship and what comes of that. Something comes unexpected, let's put it that way, for teenagers. Wild Strawberries, the old man, professor, looking back on his life. Seven Seal, this is one of the gateway foreign films. Very good foreign film. It's got an introduction by Ingmar Bergman, tribute by Woody Allen, interview with Max von Sydow, Bergman Island, a documentary about Bergman, 83 minutes. So, Virgin Spring, this was the inspiration for Last House on the Left. Introduction by Ang Lee, commentary by Bergman scholar Birgitta Steen, audio interviews with Gunnar Lindblom and Birgitta Peterson, audio recording of the 75 American Film Institute seminar by Bergman. So, and then you got, I'm going out of order. Oh well, you got, here's a box set again. Of course, if you get the Bergman box set, probably too redundant. But if you want to spend less money, free films through Glass Darkly, Winter Light, The Silence, and you get Ingmar Bergman makes a movie. Good movies. I don't know if I would go for that though. I probably would. Oh, I also have Cries and Whispers. I don't know where I put that. I'll show that in another section. It's too much moving around. Persona. This is another, if you like art films, here's another art film for you. Only 4 actors in the film. Visual essay in the prologue, interview with Lee Ullman and filmmaker Paul Schrader, archival interviews with Bergman, Ullman, and actor Bibi Andersson. Bibi Andersson passed away not too long ago. On-set footage, documentary, 2012 documentary. So, my favorite Bergman, one of my favorite films of all time, real depressing, about a violinist couple being invaded by another country on an island. Shame, or The Shame. I love this movie. It has a interview with the director and interview with Lee Ullman and a documentary made on the set. I don't know if there's tons of special features. This will be the second to last Bergman I show, because the other Bergman's in another box. So just that will be, I think, the third one, third or fourth, either the third one or the fourth one. Video, part of this video. Ingmar Bergman's Scenes from a Marriage, television version and theatrical. Kind of a chamber piece, not too many people in each scene. Evolution of a marriage. Maybe if you're married, this might be a film that you might really get into. If you're not, I'm not, but I really find it intriguing. Erland Josephine and Lee Ullman. Okay, so now we go to Buñuel. Before we go to Buñuel, so we're going to transition from Spanish into French. So this is not Buñuel, this is The Executioner. I haven't watched this, but they say this is one of the great Spanish films, so that's just letting you know. I don't know if there's a ton of special features on here, but it's supposed to be. Yeah. It's supposed to be one of the great Spanish films. Now here's Buñuel. Criterion, I love this movie. I think it was shot in Spain. Video interviews with actress Sylvia Pinell, with Viridiana, author Richard Porter, and excerpts from the 64 episode of Cineaste de Notre Temple, Louis Buñuel's early career. Justice Nunn, who's asked by Fernando Rey to come back to his ranch before she takes her vows and things change. I won't say how. Exterminating Angel, this was not made in Mexico too, I think. Or wait, or Spain. I don't know. The title doesn't really relate to what the film is about. These rich people come home from a opera, I think it is, and have dinner. Then they go to the parlor and they can't leave. Nobody's blocking them from leaving the parlor, but they just can't leave. And it's got a documentary about Buñuel, interviews with Sylvia Pinell and filmmaker Arturo Ripstein. Diary of a Chambermaid that has what's her name in it? I can't remember her name. Jean Moreau, yes, Jean Moreau, yes. That's French, I believe. Simon of the Desert, incomplete film that I think he was going to make along with Fellini and Kurosawa, I think, maybe? I don't know. Buñuel was an atheist, and he sort of makes fun of Christianity, so... Belle de Jour, Beauty of the Day, that's the French film he made with Catherine Deneuve. Great movie, very surreal, stern parts, but I really love this movie. Got some good features, cinema, for the television production. I don't know. New video piece featuring writer and sexual politics activist Susie Bright and film scholar Linda Williams. Audio commentary. The Miramax one also has a commentary too, I believe. Michael Wood does a commentary here. Interview with screenwriter Jean-Claude Carrière, segment from the French television program Cinema, featuring interviews with Carrière and actress Catherine Deneuve. So I'll just show this fast. Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. It's just a comedy about a bunch of rich people that every time they sit down to eat, they get interrupted. Phantom of Liberty. I don't know if this is his greatest. Maybe you should pass this up. It's got some funny images, like they sit on toilets when they're eating at the dinner table, and when they go to the bathroom, they sit on chairs and eat food. I don't know. It's weird. And but that's the whole thing. He's a dream. He was a surrealist. He was one of the founders of surrealism, and his first film he made was Salvador Dali, Un Chien Andalou, the one with the eye being cut out. And then I think this was his last movie, The Obscure Object of Desire, where he had two women play the same role. Carol Bouquet played one of them. She was in For Your Eyes Only. Okay, so that does that. Okay, so now I got some French ones. I'm going to plow right through these. Silent film, Passion of Joan of Arc. This was made by Dreyer, right? Was this Dreyer? Yes, Carl Theodore Dreyer. Maybe this is not French. I think it's French. But it's silent, doesn't matter. So a lot of people cry when they watch this. And it's done with a lot of different music, like a film like Metropolis, for example. But a lot of people cry when they watch this. There is a mistake in this film. There's a character that wears a watch, and of course, back in those medieval times, people didn't wear watches, obviously, so that's kind of out of place. But that doesn't make the film worse at all. Got Bouchette by Bresson. About a young girl. I can't remember what happens. Kind of a depressing film. I can't remember. I'll skip that. Diary of a Country Priest, a young man trying to find meaning in his life and being of assistance to his community, but not doing very well at it. This is a good movie. Man escaped. Bresson is about a man who's prisoner of war in World War II France, and he's trying to escape a prison that the Nazis are making. And it's done through sound. It's really cool. So, but Tarkovsky's interviewed here. Paul Schrader, Louis Malle, documentary from 2001, collaborators and Myers Bressons. So, then you got L'argent, which means, I think, money in French. Great movie. It's this last feature. It's about like how money moves from person to person. Sort of like his film Ahazard al-Bashazar, which is in another box. I have to show that another point in the video. Playtime by Jacques Tati. Visually unbelievable to watch. Beauty and the Beast by Jean Cocteau. I haven't watched this since I watched it on TV, but it, beautifully, unbelievably beautiful film. Lots of special features, I guess. 2 commentary tracks, documentary. Just a little bit of special features. Diabolique by Clouseau. This is the bare bones. This is just the movie, I believe. That's it. But really intriguing. I won't talk about this really at all because Aaron talked about this today. But that's a good one. 400 Blows by Truffaut. I used to like Truffaut, but I still like 400 Blows. You know, this is Antoine Doinel series. This is the first one he did with Jean-Pierre Léaud, I believe, who played him, yes. Who would later be in Godard, some of Godard's movies. And that brings me to Godard. Again, Aaron showed this. I won't harp on this, but it has a documentary, I think, on the French New Wave, maybe? 80-minute documentary about the making of Breathless. Video essay about Breathless. Interview with Cotard, the cinematographer. 59 short film by Godard, starring Belmondo. So, and nice packaging. But it is not my favorite Godard. Is it upside down, right? I don't know. It is good. It's a landmark. I think it's cinema history. But I think Godard, well, I'll get to it in just a sec here. He has Band of Outsiders. Interview excerpts. Some of these have, usually I think Criterions have special features. Some have more than others. This is Bare Bones Alphaville. It's just stars, what's his name? Eddie Constantine playing Lemmy Caution, with Anna Karina in it. Science fiction film noir science fiction movie. My favorite film of Godard's. I love this movie. Weekend, one of my favorite movies. It's where his political savviness and his entertainment value came together to create an awesome movie. I don't know if he's being funny or he's being serious or both. And he's commenting about communism and capitalism and later parts of the film. You see scenes from the previous parts of the film. Making trying to make a point about capitalism and communism. Came out in '67. You know, he had Hail Mary in '85, but really, this is where he peaked. Because at the end of the movie, it says "End of Jean-Luc Godard's cinema." It's like a film unto itself. It's a great movie. Weird. Well, I don't know. It just. I don't think everyone's going to like this film, though. Like, the starting people are going to get very impatient. Parts of it, they'll say, what was that all about? So, again, it's kind of... but then it gets crazier and crazier as the film progresses. It's got some comedy in it. Like, there's a scene where there's a wealthy woman in a car, and she tells her chauffeur to stop the car. And she says to one of the main characters, a husband and wife, she says to the husband, she says, who would you rather be screwed by, Johnson or Mao? And he says, Johnson. And she says, drive on, John. He's a fascist. So he was a Maoist, Jean-Luc Godard. I'm not a communist, but this is really entertaining. You don't really have to, it's funny. I don't know. It's just lots of fun. And it's got a 10-minute long traffic jam, too. That's cool, too. And to end this box set, boy, now I'm at an hour and a half, but I knew I was going to go long on this. Let's see, where do we go first? Bob van Boer. That's regarded as one of Jean-Pierre Melville's best films. I don't know. I guess it's okay. But if you want to get Melville, either get this one, The Samurai with Alain Delon. Good movie. Doesn't really have a lot of special features, I don't think. No, not a ton. 29-page booklet, though. And, but this is a fantastic movie. Army of Shadows, about French resistance fighters. It's really a shame about this film because it was made in '69 but wasn't re-released until 2006. It sort of sat on a shelf for about 37 years, and Melville died at 73. So, and it's got some special features. This is worth buying. So I'm at about a little over an hour and a half now, and we got about 4 more sections to do. So pace yourself. If you want to stop right now and come back later to this. I'm trying to be the best. I'm trying to give you as much choices as possible. I've got a lot of Criterions. I've been collecting them for quite many years. Didn't see this Pickpocket. Press on. That's the last one I'm going to show in this part of the video. Pickpocket, one of the great starting points for Bresson. A lot of editing. He used what he called models. He didn't like to use the word actors. They just do things. I don't know. It's just. This is regarded as a great French film.